is Teresa Rowe, and I am currently the president of the board of directors for the Friends of Ella Trout Zoo, which many of you I know are members of. And we would like to welcome you today. I have a few things I'd like to say before we actually get started. And I want you to just imagine what it would be like in Lufkin without a zoo. And there are a few people that are here that can't imagine that time before Hippie arrived. But for many of us, we've grown up with a zoo. And so trying to imagine what it would be like in Lufkin without the zoo would be difficult. We've grown up with the zoo. We've had our favorite animals through the years. And I know for many of us, Hippie was that favorite animal. And as we grew up, the zoo did also. And it has grown and changed tremendously through the years. And none of this would have happened without the support of the community, without the support of the community leaders, and without our directors that we've had. I'd like to thank all of those that are here who have made such a difference in the zoo to get it to where it is today, and also to encourage all of us to continue supporting the zoo so it can be even better in the future. Right now I'd like to introduce our mayor, Jack Gordon.
Good morning. It's perfect. The sun came out just in time for us. I have a proclamation I'd like to read to you, but just a couple of quick comments before I do that. To me, the Lufkin Zoo is a perfect example of the sum being much greater than the individual parts. I mean, just stop and think a minute. The Friends of the Zoo, the local business support, represented by Paul here, and many others, the employees that work here, the city of Lufkin, the city council. No one of those entities could do this. And Gordon and Charlotte put it all together and make it happen. If you didn't know it, there are well over 300,000 visitors a year to the Lufkin Zoo. And over half of those people come from outside of Angelina County. So, foresight and the commitment that went into creating this entity. And of course, as you know, this is the 40th birthday. But to me, what we're doing here today is honoring the people that have made it happen. And it was all those groups I just mentioned. But with that, let me read this proclamation. Whereas the Ellen Trout Zoo is one of Lufkin's and East Texas' premier attractions, bringing in thousands of visitors each year. Many from throughout the state as well as from all 50 states and many foreign countries. And whereas the Ellen Trout Zoo is noted for its innovative and exciting animal exhibits, such as the giraffe and rhinoceros habitats, and the only hippoquarium in the South between Florida and California. And whereas the Ellen Trout Zoo supports conservation by participating in 17 species survival plans, including clouded leopards, cotton-top tamarins, Bali minnows, and Aruba Island rattlesnakes. The Ellen Trout Zoo is also recognized for the first captive hatching of the endangered Louisiana pine snake and continues to work for this species' survival in the longleaf pine forests of East Texas. And that, I hope Gordon touches on that. Among the many, many important things the zoo does and has is that preservation of some of these endangered species that doesn't get a lot of attention. It's a very important part of what goes on here. Whereas the Ellen Trout Zoo is a founding member of the Zoo Conservation Outreach Group and continues to serve on the board of directors of this organization to support conservation in Central and South America and the Caribbean Basin. And whereas the Ellen Trout Zoo provides both formal and informal educational opportunities concerning wildlife and environmental issues for more than 7,000 participants annually, and is the place to connect with the natural world. And whereas the Ellen Trout Zoo is celebrating 40 years of being a part of the Lufkin community. Now, therefore, I, Jack Gordon, Mayor, do hereby proclaim June 16, 2007, Ellen Trout Zoo Day in the city of Lufkin, and encourage all citizens to be cognizant of the efforts and contributions made by the Ellen Trout Zoo and all those entities I mentioned to further both conservation and education in our community. And I thank you. And while I've got the mic in my hand, are there any members of the City Council with us here this morning? I certainly want to recognize them. Your City Council is very supportive of your zoo. I think I did see Louis Bernal, our former mayor, with us today. Louis spent many years working hard with the rest of us to make the zoo what it is today. And with that, I will turn it back over. Here you go. And one last little quick thing. I hope somebody makes the comment that our ribbon cutter, we only have one official ribbon cutter, and it's Barbara. And she's the only one that's ever cut one here, and she's going to do it today.
Now we'd like to introduce our city manager, Paul Parker.
Thank you, Tricia. I'm not going to take for just a second because I want to bring Gordon on up, and I don't want to steal into his thunder and things that he says later on, but I'd like to stress two things really. One is to talk about the education that goes on at this zoo. Many of you enjoy the animals and walking around, but I had the privilege of walking through here yesterday morning and seeing it snowed under with young people going to, was that junior zookeeper camp? But we have a lot of education, more than just viewing the animals. It's tremendous what the staff does for education. And that brings me to the second point I want to take the privilege of saying. I was fortunate to come to Lufkin 3 years ago, and when people started talking about the Ellen Trout Zoo, you can imagine my image of what the zoo in Lufkin might be. It was nothing what I expected when I walked through here the first day. It just blows you away if you've never been, if you didn't grow up, and how the privilege of seeing this over the years develop. It's truly a great asset, but probably our greatest asset, the one I want to highlight, is the employees we have at Ellen Trout Zoo. We have some of the finest employees around, and Gordon, Charlotte, your leadership, but it goes to Sid and Dr. Nance and Daniel and Charlie with the ugly legs, and everybody that's out here. But we do, and I mean that in all earnestness. If you could see these people, you got to remember the zoo is a 365-day operation. Animals have to be fed, they have to be cared for every day. During hurricanes, we learned, during ice, during heat, during every aspect, and our staff never wavers to make sure that the animals are well kept. And if you'd seen them during the hurricane and all they did to secure the safety of the animals, it was unbelievable. So I'd like to just take the opportunity to thank the zoo staff for all you do and for all you have meant to this zoo. So with that, I'll turn it back to Rick.
Finally, I'd like to introduce Mr. Gordon Henley, the man who's had one of the coolest jobs in Lufkin for the past 31 years.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Mayor Gordon, Mr. Parker. We appreciate those kind words. We appreciate you being out here with the earlier rain and now the sun baking all of us. It's quite an honor. And one of the things when Mr. Parker came to the zoo for his first visit, he asked me about my job. I told him that I've got the best job in the city of Lufkin. He may be the city manager, but I got the best job. I love it. I love being able to be out here and be a part of it. I'd like to welcome all of you to the 40th anniversary celebration. When we get through here, there's birthday cake, popcorn, cotton candy, moonwalk. We'll have our animal care personnel in various places to visit with you. So it'll be a lot of fun. There'll be a history of the zoo that you can see in our classroom. There's a PowerPoint that goes, and there's a bunch of scrapbooks and things that are in there to show you what it was like 40 years ago. Now, we'd like to introduce a few people that are here and some that are not here that had a great deal to do with the zoo. All Bill Perez here, representing Lufkin Industries. Lufkin Industries was the business in which Walter Trout, the founder of the zoo, was the president of. In fact, at that time, it was Lufkin Foundry and Machine Company. We appreciate all the long-term relationships we have with them. There are members of Bill Trout's family here. Bill is the son of Walter Trout, the grandson of Ellen Trout, his daughter Barbara Trout Corbett, his son Bill Trout, and a nephew Taylor Snout. I'm sorry. I apologize. Bill's daughter. We have a former acting city manager here who was involved in the zoo in the early 60s. I think he hired one of the zoo directors. And then he moved out of city government and became a federal judge, David Walker, and his wife. Happy to have you. The wife of our mayor, Mary Jo Gordon. Some people who are not here that I would like to recognize are Joe and Mary Bird. Joe Bird was a vice president of Lufkin Industries at the time that the zoo was founded. And 40 years ago today, he was president of the Lufkin Rotary Club, and the zoo was a project of the Lufkin Rotary Club after Mr. Trout got that committee formed. And I would not want today to go by without mentioning his name. We've had several other people that had a great role in the development of the zoo. Fred Jacobs from the Lufkin Kiwanis Club. They got started in about 1988. They did an exhibit a year out here up until the 2000s period and made a big difference on the zoo. I don't want things to go by without knowing and recognizing him. Now, as has been pointed out, Barbara Trout Corbett, her husband is out here too, Jeff. There he is back there. Barbara Trout Corbett cut the ribbon opening the zoo in 1964, which is also a Saturday. And she also cut the ribbon at the 20th birthday in 1984, or 87, I've been here too long. And now she's going to cut it again in 2007. But before she does that, I'll point out again that it was a concept of Walter Trout, who thought the community should have a zoo and not have to go to Houston or Dallas to be able to see animals. And as part of his endeavors to promote the zoo, a friend of his, a business associate in Philadelphia, along with Joe Bird and that zoo committee, got him a Christmas present in 1965. Arrived outside of Lufkin Industries in a box. They got Mr. Trout. He went out there. In the box was a 500-pound baby river hippopotamus and a note that said, Walter, may all your troubles in 1966 be big ones. A copy of that note, I think, is going to be in the slideshow. And with that, the zoo began going. Hippie, as we called him, was the big star of the zoo from the time he arrived until his death in 1999. And during that period, thousands of area children got a first-hand look at hippos by participating in one of our second-grade education programs called What Animals Eat, a feeding lab. And part of that, they actually go in and feed the hippos, and they got to pet him and touch him. And that's the kind of thing that's a lifetime experience. Not many people get to do that. And that made him a real personal animal for everybody involved. Today, the zoo has 3 hippopotamuses, and they are in our hippo aquarium that the mayor mentioned. And Hippie was all the start of that. Since the zoo began in 1967, there have been 4 mayors: Earl Nesbitt, Pittsburgh Garrison, Louis Denaud, and our current mayor, Jack Gordon. There have been 6 city managers. David Walker was the acting city manager at the time. A man named William Wolf, Harvey Westerholm, D.G. Macklin, Larry Brassel, the acting city manager in interim, and our current city manager, Paul Parker. Been 3 zoo directors. Don Anderson was here when the zoo opened and stayed until about 69. And Tim Jones came from the Houston Zoo and stayed until 76. And then I have been here from the day it opened. The zoo has been a popular destination for visitors from East Texas, and today As the mayor mentioned, visitors come from across the state, in fact every state in the union, and many foreign countries. Not only is the Ellen Trout Zoo a place for great family recreation, it is involved in conservation, and we are working with Louisiana pine snake in both captivity and in the wild to support endeavors with Siamese crocodiles in Cambodia. We exhibit Siamese crocodiles, so they're a representative of that. Jaguars in Central America. So our animals here are actually ambassadors for their wild counterparts. Our education program is excellent on wildlife conservation and environmental issues, and over 7,000 people participate in that every single year. We have a great, highly motivated, energetic, and dedicated staff caring for the over 850 animals in the zoo's collection and for the zoo's building and grounds. And Friends of Ellen Trout Zoo Incorporated was formed in 1984 as a membership support organization to help with the zoo's growth and development. And today there are over 1,000 memberships representing more than 4,000 people. Many things have been accomplished through this support, from the large cat exhibit to the Hippoclarium, and we're embarking on our next major endeavor, which will be an education center and admin complex in the south part of the zoo. The success of the zoo is a result of great support from the City Council, past and present, the Lufkin Kiwanis Club, the Rotary Club, and you can see metal plaques recognizing these city clubs as you go throughout the zoo. The wonderful community we live in, the can-do spirit that is here that distinguishes Lufkin from others. Friends of Ellen Trout Zoo has played a big role, obviously, and the zoo has also received tremendous assistance from the TLL Temple Foundation, E.L. Curran Jr. Charitable Foundation, Temple Inland Foundation, Fairchild Foundation, Piney Woods Foundation, and most recently the Dallas-based Meadows Foundation. We have established a great relationship with Christian Brothers, which has become my first corporate sponsor. They finance programs out here and have work days, and we've done a lot with them. All these things together have make the zoo what it is today. The mayor alluded to that. Everybody has a part in the zoo, and that's one of the things I think that makes it so special. Now for today, I want to thank Beverly Slaughter, Ted Fajan, Jerry Love, and their slate of volunteers for putting all of the behind-the-scenes things together, the treats and the celebration. Their tireless efforts and devotion to the zoo are appreciated. The Ellen Trout Zoo is the wildest place in town, and it is your place to connect to the natural world. So please join us for the birthday cake, visit with the keepers, and take a look at the history. Now, Barbara, your friends.
On three.